your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one.
Didn't do the intro?
Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
We just want to let y'all so
All right, my laptop is acting like a bitch, but yeah, AC, thanks for tuning in to the pod. Bring you another episode of the Monday show. Basically recapping the events of Monday Night Raw, which was played in Italy. We know that Clash in Italy was last night, and another show tonight. And so basically kicking off the show, we had a video recapping the events from Clash in Italy. And then we went to backstage, which showed the arrival of the Usos and Roman Reigns. They went right to the ring to kick off the show. Crowd chanting and sang along to his theme song for a hot minute before Roman Reigns finally spoke. They eventually, he called out Jacob Fatu. So that he can acknowledge Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, which they agreed to before their tribal combat match last night, or yesterday, our time, whatever. Jacob came out there. He said he knew what he was getting into last night and didn't seem to have any regrets. He acknowledged Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, but he also reminded Jay that he didn't lose to his punk ass. He got down on one knee and bowed to Roman Reigns, stuck his hand out. Roman Reigns shook his hand and said that you may not understand it right now, but I love you. And so basically Fatu posed with them there in the segment. Jimmy did his whole look. He's like, yeah, it's a warning shot to everybody in the locker room. Y'all the twos and we the ones. And that's how that segment ended. Next up, we had our first match of the King of the Ring tournament. We had it's the first of a series of fatal four-way matches. This time we had Carmelo Hayes, Solo Sikoa, Penta, and Oba Femi in a fatal four-way match. This match pretty much started out Oba Femi. He was the last one to enter, and the moment he enters, he just started kicking everybody's ass and still managed to do his normal pose where the lights kind of turn blue or whatever. And then after that, I believe we went to commercial or something, and they came back, and eventually they teamed up on him, and then their plan pretty much failed. He started kicking all their asses, and so mind you, Oba Femi, his arm is like still fucked up from the match against Brock Lesnar last night, which he did lose after suffering 7 F5s from Brock Lesnar. So, and he's still walking as if like nothing ever happened. So of course, during this match, everybody hit their signature moves and everything, and there were some moments where Tala Tonga, who accompanied Solo Sikoa, he interjected himself into the match. But eventually, Oba Femi who was taken out by Tala Tonga midway through the match. He eventually recovered and went apeshit, took out Tala Tonga, did the suplex on his ass through the onto the announce table. And then he goes in, pretty much demolishes everybody, finishing off Solo Sikoa with the little the side throw slam or whatever he does. And then he hit him with the fall from grace for the 3 count. Oba Femi is moving on to the next round of the King of the Ring tournament. Now, speaking of the tournament itself, there were a couple of guys that were in the tournament, Ricky Saints and Tala Tonga, that were pulled from the tournament and replaced by Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. So if you all were watching last night, watching the pod episode last night, I was like, where is Drew? Like, what the hell is Drew at? Now, Drew is going to be coming back. And kind of wish that they would have made that a surprise, like, hey, we got 2, mystery guys that's going to be in a tournament or whatever, then Drew will make his comeback. So that would have been cool to see if they would have just made that a surprise. But, it's WWE, so they known for ruining some surprises from time to time. Next up, we had a segment with Sol Ruca, who is now the new women's IC champion. She came out after the break for her first interview as the women's IC champion. Kathy Kelly was the one doing the interview. And she basically asked Sol Ruca how it felt to finally be the champion, as the crowd was chanting, "You deserve it" in the background. Sol Ruca thanked the fans for always believing in her. And then she eventually gave props to Becky Lynch for giving her a good fight. No one interrupted the interview. And so that was pretty good. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. If Sol Ruca, what challenger she will have. I'm pretty sure there'll be some that's going to step up, some of the up and coming women that have been like overlooked, especially when it comes to this this Queen of the Ring tournament that's coming up. So I'm sure a lot of women that more likely will not advance in that tournament will more likely take their shot at that IC championship. So we'll see how that plays out. Next up, after the match for the Fatal 4-Way for the men's side, Oba Femi did make it clear in his post-match promo that him and Brock, they're 1-1, and so he'll be seeing them down the line for that third match. And as we all know, that's more likely going to take place at SummerSlam. And I personally believe that Oba Femi will not win the King of the Ring tournament because of that. So we'll see how that unfolds. Next up, we had a tag team match. We got Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Rusev and Ethan Page. And so this was like fresh off a week in which Rey Mysterio beat Rusev to earn an IC title shot against Penta. So Dragon Lee spent early on in this match. Dragon Lee spent a long time in the ring. He's about to tag in Rey. Crowd started going crazy. Eventually, Ethan Page rained on the parade by preventing the tag as the show went to a commercial break. Rey Mysterio came back. He finally tagged in. And then Dragon Lee was able to break away from being double teamed. The crowd went crazy when Rey hit a series of his signature moves. It wasn't much to this match, but, I think it was something fun to give to the fans. But eventually Rey got the win for this team with a 619 on Ethan Page. Let's see here. Shout out to Viz GD Showcases. Appreciate you watching. What's going on? Take this off. Yeah, so next up we had segment, Roman Reigns basically telling Jey Uso that he needed to win the King of the Ring tournament. So he can go on and win a WWE Championship, as there are two ends of the table. So that will be interesting. Jay's not going to win that title, but he's definitely not going to win the King of the Ring tournament. So, nip that shit in the bud. Next up, we had our first women's Fatal 4-Way match for the Queen of the Ring tournament. We had Io Sky, Julia, Lash Legend, Roxanne Perez, Fatal 4-Way match. So Lash Legend pretty much looked strong in this whole match here. She was being targeted by all three opponents due to her size and power advantage. This match is a little bit more competitive. Every woman in the match held her own. Roxanne held her own. Lash, Julia, they all held their own, but ultimately Io Sky will reign supreme and win this match by hitting Julia with the over the moonsault for the win. So Io Sky is moving on to the next round. After this match, we had a segment, LA Knight confronting Adam Pearce, and basically he's talking about how he's not happy about the Bloodline coming back into power, and he feels like Adam Pearce is pretty much in cahoots with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns, as he say he's giving him energy that he's never given Roman Reigns. He's like, you want to buck up to me? I'll bring you back out of retirement just to put you back there. And so that was very interesting to see there. Next up, we had our main event. This show didn't last long, but it was pretty solid for the most part. You had Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker. We know the history between these two. Don't need to go into it. The crowd was singing to Rollins' theme. And they were clearly in his corner. Paul Heyman, of course, accompanied Braun Breaker to the ring. And so early on in the match, before the match, both opponents came face to face talking trash. Braun Breaker got the action started by picking Rollins up and planting him in the corner for some shoulder thrust. We came back from the commercial break to see Braun firmly in control of the match. Rollins kept trying to create some space between them, but Braun Breaker pretty much just stayed on him. So this was a solid match to advance the feud that these two have. So it doesn't seem like it's the finale at all. I think there's more down the line. Basically, there was the pace was a little bit slow in some spots, but ultimately the match itself was pretty solid. Breaker did look strong in this match. Austin Theory did show up to get involved. However, Montez Ford would show up to even the odds. Both opponents kicked out of each other's finishers before Braun Breaker accidentally speared Paul Heyman through the barricade, and this was after Paul Heyman lifted Braun's leg to on the rope to cause a rope break, and then that's what caused the confrontation with Paul Heyman and Seth. While they're talking, Braun tries to run around the ring, spear Seth Rollins, but he ended up getting Paul Heyman instead, spears Paul Heyman through the barricade. This would allow Seth to, grab the title, and Braun storms into the ring. He attempts to spear Seth Rollins. However, Rollins has the title wrapped around his, stomach. And because of that, Braun's head connected with the title belt instead of Seth's body. And it caused Braun pretty much get knocked out. And then Seth capitalized with the stomp. 1, 2, 3, Rollins gets the win. And that's how that main event ends. So a pretty solid show for the most part. The Fatal 4-Way matches for the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments were pretty decent. I think the women's had a little bit more competitive match, but I think the next series of matches over the coming weeks I think they'll pick some things up in terms of the interest. But yeah, the Italy crowd was amazing. And so it was a good show last night for Clash. And so we know Night of Champions is also coming up. And so we'll see how things play out there. We know that whoever wins the tournament will eventually get a championship spot, championship match at SummerSlam. That's both for the men's and women's side. So whoever wins whichever tournament, I don't know if they get to choose who they want to face, but I think it's based on the brand, who was the superstar wins whichever brand that they're on. They pretty much go after that championship. I have to look into that to make sure, because I know Solo was on Raw tonight. And so and I think Michael Cole hinted, at the fact that Solo Sikoa could eventually win the tournament and then possibly go against Roman. So I believe that they can choose. I have to make sure. Y'all can correct me on that. Let me check the comments. New Era, thanks for watching. Triple Con. But yeah, so so that's pretty much how this tournament is going to be playing out. And so I think after all the Fatal 4-Way matches are done, then we'll have the semifinal matches, and then we'll have the finals. Pretty sure finals will more likely be at Night of Champions, and then that'll determine who gets their respective title shots at SummerSlam. So we'll see how that unfolds. This is the end of the recap for Monday Night Raw, and this is the end of the Raw Dogg show. Thanks for all who tuned in live. Thanks for all who's going to watch the playback of this on YouTube or on Twitch. So this is Big Daddy C signing out. Catch y'all later. Peace. Oh.